Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to have a chat with Dan. He's from Bristol over in England. He works for the local council, and then also is a youth group leader, which he uses his battle of his own mental health issues to help the youth in his local area, which is very good. And, you know, we need more people like that. So Daniel, you want to say hi to my viewers for me?
Hi guys.
So, anything else we need to know before we get on with the chat about yourself, Dan?
Well, I'm into my rugby quite a lot. Although I live in England, I am Welsh. So a massive Welsh supporter. Go to as many matches as possible. Yeah, obviously my youth group's a big part of my life. Fit it in around everything else really. Sort of everything else, my job, everything sort of tailors me into being able to help people.
No, that's really good. Like I said before, it's, you know, I commend you for, you know, using your experience and, you know, getting out there and helping people. It's a very rewarding job. And so we'll talk about that to start with. Let's talk about your battles. So with your mental health, if
Yeah,
you don't mind sharing
of course.
your struggles and what you've been through.
So my mental health struggle started when I was quite young. So we're talking into secondary school, so sort of from the age of 11. A lot of problems with bullying in school. So I had a lot of problems because of my size. I've always been quite a big kid, quite tall, standing above the other kids. It was always a struggle, sort of trying to fit in. Because everyone sort of would be sort of like isolate me, and then it would be like, oh, someone's going to pick on me, and then it becomes someone else picks on you. And that sort of went on for quite a few years, from when I was 11. Got to about 13, 14, and it got quite bad. It went from more physical bullying, like tripping in the hallways, pushing and shoving, because I started to get bigger and bigger. It then went to the mental attacks. So it was like name calling, mind games, things like that, trying to get into my head, causing problems for me throughout my lessons. So they write stuff in books and deliberately set me up to fail, that sort of thing. And then as I got into my teen years, it sort of had an effect on my behaviour. So I was always, as a result of that, I was always seen as the angry kid. And that sort of in my sort of early teens ended up playing into it. So everyone saw me as the angry kid, so I therefore was the angry kid. And it sort of stemmed from that as to how people just pick someone out of a crowd and decide that we're going to treat them that way. And that basically was my struggle all the way through. And that then sort of changed as I got to my sort of late teens, got to the end of my school years. And then the best thing I ever did was when I had my choice of doing my A levels and going to college, I left the school that I had been at for 5 years and just cut off all ties from everyone there. And that was the best thing I could ever do, because it just meant I had a completely fresh start. No one knew anything that I'd previously done. No one knew me, and it just gave me that refreshed sense from there. But I still had the overhanging years that affected my behavior and the way I perceived things. And it still does have a lasting effect, because I still see the people that caused it, and there's always going to be that sort of a knock-on effect.
Yeah. You know, listen to your story. I kind of understand what you went through. Myself, I was bullied a lot when I was a kid too. And it can have that everlasting. And, you know, I didn't really think about it until you said it. Like, you perceived as the angry kid because you're getting bullied and, stuff like this. And then that you brought into that thing. Just hearing you say that, me looking back at my childhood and my bullying, I got bullied from, grade 1 all the way through to around grade 10. And I apparently had anger issues
Yeah,
and I was that angry kid. I went to anger management. I was looking at, I thought they thought I might have ADHD and, all this other stuff that, I didn't really put them together until you just said that. I'm like, that's actually a really good story to tell because,
yeah,
bullying is still so big in this world, not just as kids. Like, I'm a veteran, so I was in the army when I was getting medical discharge out because of my mental health and my shoulder. I had a officer who's meant to be my 2IC, who's meant to be there to help me through stuff, bully me. So it doesn't just happen,
yeah.
as kids.
Oh God, no.
It hurts. It cuts when it first starts happening. You can ignore it, and this is for me. And
Yeah,
I don't know if it's with you, but at the beginning you're like, oh yeah, it's just I can handle this. But when it's day in day out, it just starts chipping away.
yeah. It starts off as I can ignore that, not a problem, that's fine, and then it keeps going on a bit, and then everything they say sort of then becomes your reality. You sort of start believing it. It becomes someone will say something, and you just go, yeah, that's what I am. It becomes just second nature to you, and it just becomes part of who you are. Um, like you said, you had like, anger management issues and things like that. That's what they said that I had. And my school, they did provide me with a counsellor as such, sort of volunteer that came into the school to sit and chat with you. Um, it did work out quite well. He was absolutely amazing guy. We connected on quite a few levels because he was quite a big chap as well.
Yeah.
He was over 6'6" as an adult, and he said he basically got to 6'6" when he was about 16. Which is
Mm.
about, so I'm 6'3", and I got to about this height when I was about 16. So similar sort of thing. We also found out that with from the age of 5, I've been playing rugby, and I've been in my youth group since I was 5. Sort of hobbies to get me out of the house, get me doing things. Um, and I found that the counsellor, we would talk about what makes me happy, how I calm down, how I cope with my so-called anger management. Um, and it turns out that he was a coach at the same rugby club that I play at. He'd also been in the same youth group that I was in. So we connected on that level. And that when you can find a common interest with someone who's trying to help you, it completely distracts you. And then the best thing that came out of the counselling that I had with him was his report back to the school, which basically said he's not got any anger issues or ADHD or anything they tried to label me with. He's just fed up.
Yeah.
And they then took at looking at how they could help me, but then it sort of went back to oh well, we've sent him to counselling, that's that done, we've done what we can now, and then they ignored it. And then the bullying carried on and escalated, and there was suspensions from classes, and I had to sit with the older year groups. I wasn't allowed in certain lessons. Um, they would put me in isolation, suspend me from coming into school, that sort of thing. And it's sort of they did that with quite a few of us that all had the same sort of problems. And it wasn't until they actually created a space for us to vent our frustrations that they then saw an improvement. And I was also the thing that was I got to about 14, and every year, the last 3 years worth of PE reports all came back with the same thing. Dan needs to learn there's more sports than rugby. Because I didn't like taking part with other sports because it was uncomfortable because people would bully you for your performance.
Yeah.
So I very quickly learned to just not bother. It's like if I don't put myself in the situation, they can't bully me for it. So I ended up taking back my own learning to take myself out of the situations.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until I got to about 14, 15 that I then joined the school's actual rugby team, where a handful of these bullies they were in the team. And after the first couple of training sessions and matches with this handful of bullies, they completely changed their attitude towards me because they actually realized I do have some personality. I am a person. And it's all about how you perceive to them, but also how they pick up who you are.
Mm.
And yeah, that definitely helped, but it didn't help with everyone because then it became, well, yeah, he's just fallen into the angry rugby playing stereotype. So it just sort of like some people were like, oh, he's now got worse because he's now playing rugby. But it's like, actually, I've been playing it for the last 10 years. You just haven't bothered to know me.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, it was difficult. It was very difficult to cope with everything. Sort of as a teenage lad, you've got set things that go through your head as to like, right, what do I want to do with my life? Where do I want to go? Girls come into it. It's all there's got loads of things running around. You've got hormones running around your head, and you make stupid mistakes. We all do,
Still do.
but it's yeah. We never grow up.
No. Our toys just get bigger.
Yeah, exactly. My dad turned 61 the other day, and he's still a big kid.
Yeah.
You get him something for his birthday. He got a circular saw. It's a toy.
Yeah.
They just get bigger for you. It's we never really grow up, but it's how we sort of cope with everything as to how we go through. Because it's some of us it's more difficult than others. I've pretty much got my mental health fully under control now. It doesn't affect my day-to-day life. It's still a part of who I am, and it still affects what I've become. And I'll never forget the journey that I've come through because it's something you just don't forget. But I have to say that I've been quite lucky with the fact that it has only gone up to sort of my teenage years, and I've managed to calm it down because I was self-isolating myself on like I'd come home from school and I just locked myself in my room, didn't want to talk to anyone. I found that I was comfort eating, so I literally would just massive portions, just keep
And
eating
not the good
constantly.
stuff. The
No,
So yeah, I was the same. I'm a big comfort eater. I'm actually on a journey at the moment trying to get fit. So I've actually lost 10 kilos in the last 8 weeks. And it's mainly just on my diet. I've stopped eating junk. I've stopped eating big portions at comfort. Like
yeah,
I get irritable a little bit more at the moment, just with the whole change, but hopefully that starts leveling out. But yeah,
yeah,
comfort eating is it has a point though. It is good at some stage, and beginning of my journey with recovering from my mental health, comfort eating was awesome. It was good for my mental health. It was good for my family.
yeah,
You know, now that I can kind of get everything in check without the comfort eating, I can now look at the body. But yeah, no, comfort eating is
yeah.
yeah. Oh, I still miss my burgers and my sausage rolls. But yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the group, the youth group leader. So you said you were
Yep.
part of the when you were 5, and they helped you in a way
Yeah.
through your troubles. So as a leader, what's your role? What do you do?
So
Um,
we, as a leader, we have sort of the general responsibility of looking after kids. Tailor to ages from all the way from 5, all the way up to 18, and then they've got the choice to become leaders themselves. And we face many of the battles that I faced and more. So when I joined the group, it was a boys only youth group. So lot of get to teenager, a lot of testosterone, a lot of showboating, that sort of thing. So, and the staff there when I was there, they never gave up, and that's always been the reasoning behind why I became a leader, was they never gave up on me, and it shaped me into who I am. So therefore, I'm not going to give up on future generations coming through. So we do a range of sort of activities, from indoor activities during the winter when we can't get out, to outdoor expeditions. We do hiking, climbing, kayaking, all sorts of outdoor sports, adventure weekends. That's where you really get to know the kids you're working with. They come from all sorts of backgrounds. We've got kids that are in council housing, all the way through to privately educated kids. They're, in our eyes, they're all exactly the same. There's no sort of, oh, this kid's got privilege, I've got to look after them. It's more, they've got privilege, they look after themselves. We focus on those that need our help
Yep.
more than others, and it's the way that I've been running the sections. I normally do the younger sections, so from the age of 5 to 11, I was massively involved in the early stages of like behavioral issues. So we've had kids over the last sort of 4 or 5 years that have come through, and you've got leaders that are considerably older, sort of in their 50s, 60s, going, oh, they've just got behavioral problems, but blah blah blah. And it's like they haven't, they've got something going on. And we've had a few kids where there's the home life's not brilliant. Mum and dad have split up. There's step families. There's all sorts of things in the background. They've got older siblings that push them around a little bit. It's trying to get them to understand that they're not the problem. And that's where it sort of comes into using my experiences with bullying and being isolated to sort of give these kids a little bit of hope. And I use myself as an example all the time with them, because you'll get one kid that will just be like so angry at everyone and everything, and angry at themselves for no reason other than the fact that they've been told they're angry. So it's again going back to that perception thing and saying, do you think you're special than everyone else? You're exactly the same as what I was when I was your age. I was exactly like you. I'd get angry, I'd start throwing chairs, I'd start smashing the place up, shouting, screaming. I was exactly the same. And then they take a step back and go, oh, everyone says I'm different and I'm weird, but I'm not. And
Yeah.
it's getting them to realize that at a younger age, that definitely makes the difference.
Yeah,
'Cause you
like the
get
young age is they're really acceptable. Like people go, oh, this kid's like this because he was born like this. No, he's not, actually not. He
yeah,
Kids are sponges. Whatever is around them, they're going to soak that up. However,
exactly.
their parents act, how their friends act, how their friends' parents act, how teachers act, how bus drivers act. Whoever they come in contact with, they see something and they're going to copy it.
Yeah,
And so, I don't know, as me for a kid, and like what I've heard from you is, we get told as kids, or you're a bad kid, you're angry. It's like, no, I'm not. But all they had to do was stop and listen
yeah,
and try to understand what's happening with the kid. No kid's born evil. No one's born
no,
evil. And I'm a big believer that no one is born evil. It is learnt
yes,
from experience, from hanging out with like being around the wrong people at the young age. Um,
definitely.
and what you're doing as a leader, and look at you, like if it wasn't maybe for your being in that youth group, you might not be able to do what you're doing now.
They definitely 100%. Yeah,
Mm.
it massively affected my outcome as an adult. So when I thought about giving up the youth group several times. I thought about just completely packing it in. I can't be bothered with this anymore. I don't want to do it, because I was getting, at one point in school, I was getting bullied for being in my youth group. And it's just like I then had to look at it and go, no, I like doing this. I enjoy doing it. I'm going to carry on doing it. And I'm really glad that I did, because it's given me skills that I never thought I'd have. There was a point in my life that I was petrified of water sports. Absolutely hated them. Any sort of boats, craft, anything, kayaking, canoeing, wouldn't touch it. Now, 10 years later, I'm a water sports coach and instructor. I take trips out for kayaking trips, canoe trips. We do challenges down big rivers. We do all sorts of weekends away on weirs, on all sorts of fast white water. And I love it. Massive lake trips. And it's something, if you 10 years ago, you said, yeah, by the way, you would have, you've done a 120-mile journey down a river, I'd be like, you're mental.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. But I got my confidence back. I got into it and they coached me into that. I've got qualifications and things that I never thought I'd have, solely because the leaders of that youth group sat down and went, why won't you do that? And they talk to you about it and they say, well, why not just go for it? So, and it definitely shaped me into who I am and what I've got now. They taught me a lot about patience, because I used to just sort of try and do something and give up. And then they set things, and we during our we used to do yearly summer camps, and they'd be like, "Oh, Dan, can you just go and do that for me?" And they gave me responsibility to do things when no one else was giving me anything to sort of like be responsible for. And everything that I was given to do, sort of given as responsible as a young leader to work my way through, it shapes you. They say, well, they've actually trusted me to do this, so I'm gonna do it right. And it's having those opportunities to do that. And it's one of the other things that I've managed to get out of the youth group is my fiance, because she was in the sister youth group to our boys one. There's a girls one, and I met her through that. I've known her for since we were about 10, 11. Been on off friends over the last few sort of 10 so years, and then something just sort of clicked it was about 5.5 years ago. It clicked, and we ended up getting together, and we've got a house together, and we're engaged. And it's one of the things in my life that someone says, well, how did you get together? And I actually enjoy the story
Yeah.
of telling it, so much to the fact that it is solely because I stuck at the youth group. And if that youth group wasn't there, what would I be doing now? Is I've got effectively a perfect little life as a result of 4 or 5 adults bothering to get to know me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's an awesome love story, man. That's pretty cool. Who made the first move? You or her?
I'm pretty sure it was me, but she'll probably say it was her.
No, that's pretty cool. You don't see that much these days,
No.
um, high school sweethearts. But no, that's pretty cool, and that's your silver lining.
Yeah.
You got a few. Like, yes, you got bullied, and it sucks. And I know from experience, no one should ever be bullied. Um, but you flipped it on its head, and you're able to now help youth in the
Yeah.
same situation as you. And and then you got, like you said, you own a house, you got a fiance, it you look happy. So
Yeah.
it's no, it's a really good story. So thank you for sharing.
No, that's fine.
Um, so what you do now? Can you send a message out? Okay, so whatever you want to say about mental health, about bullying, about youth groups or anything, what's the one message you want people out there to hear and to like really listen to the message?
So I would just like to say to everyone that no matter how dark it gets for you, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Don't be afraid to let people into your life to listen to you. Find someone to talk to. It can be someone you don't expect it to be, but always just give it a chance. Give it a shot at talking to someone. Give yourself that chance because you have no idea what you're going to get out of it. And I would just say that don't give up. Stay strong with your fight. And there's plenty of us around the world that will talk to you. So even if you can't find someone, come and talk to one of us.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Dan,
No worries.
for sharing your story. It takes guts, okay, to come out and, let people know um, of your struggles. So I really appreciate it. So thank you once again.
No worries, Luke.
Cool. So that's it, guys, for this week. Leave a comment down below if you know, understand what Dan has been talking about. If you've gone through it, to make sure you do find help. So until next time, guys, stay safe and look after each other.